Good evening, and thank you so much for having me. Elections have consequences, and election integrity, or the lack thereof, has consequences. As the last year and 5 months have shown us, we've gone from energy independence and a booming economy under President Donald J. Trump to energy dependence and raging inflation under Joe Biden. So let me say it again. Election integrity, or the lack thereof, has consequences. After the 2020 election, many voters had questions about and concerns about ballot security and the integrity of elections. We saw videos of poll watchers who stopped counting or who escorted poll watchers and poll workers out, telling them they were done counting for the night, only to return and to continue to count. We've seen Dinesh D'Souza's new movie, 2,000 Mules, which raises profoundly disturbing questions about ballot trafficking in key states and calls into question ballot security for hundreds of thousands of ballots. We know that Mark Zuckerberg spent over $400 million in left-leaning precincts on the election offices in order to pump up voter turnout. And we have seen state legislators all over the country work to respond and pass laws to address some of these concerns. They had a simple slogan: easy to vote, hard to cheat. That was their mantra: make it easy to vote, but hard to cheat. And some people did not take kindly to that. Bless their hearts. The liberal media and the radical leftists, but I repeat myself, went crazy. They said Republicans were trying to suppress the vote. On MSNBC, Joy Reid said, or likened it to apartheid, and said that it was the South African strategy. In my own state of Georgia, Stacey Abrams said Republicans were, and I quote, stealing the right to vote. And of course, Joe Biden made a pilgrimage to Ebenezer Baptist Church, where the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is entombed, and said the new laws were Jim Crow 2.0. Their unjust criticism had significant consequences. Most notably, Major League Baseball moved the All-Star game from Atlanta to right here in Denver. But in a case of poetic justice, the World Series was in Texas and Georgia, two states that passed election reform laws, and the Atlanta Braves won the World Series. I've got some Braves fans in here. But in fact, the accusation of voter suppression was a vicious lie. They told this lie in an effort to intimidate us into stopping our quest for honest, transparent elections. To which I say, we will never back down for our fight for election integrity. In the United States of America, elected officials get their authority from the consent of the governed. And without election integrity, there is no consent. It's been a year, and many of these states that changed their laws have held primaries. And what have we seen? Have we seen suppressed votes? Is voter turnout down? No, not at all. In fact, in all of these states, we've seen the exact opposite happen. In Ohio, turnout was up 13%. In Texas, 14%. In Pennsylvania, over 1 million more people cast their vote this midterm election than they did 4 years ago. And in Georgia, early voting was triple the level 4 years ago. More than 100,000 Black voters cast their votes early, again, triple the number from 2018. And did Stacey Abrams apologize or admit she was wrong? No. She said increased turnout has nothing to do with suppression. We're still trying to figure that one out. For more than a year now, Tea Party Patriots Action has been working on election integrity in concert with coalition partners like Conservative Partnership Institute. We've traveled the country working to build a permanent election integrity infrastructure with local election integrity task forces, training people to become poll workers and poll watchers, teaching our fellow citizens how they can get involved to make a difference and to ensure that our elections are honest, transparent, and secure. Right now, multiple mainstream media sources are publishing hit pieces about conservatives training to become poll workers, fear-mongering on our army of volunteers. Oh no, not patriotic Americans exercising their fundamental right to participate in the election process. The real question here is, why is the left so afraid of transparent elections? I urge you to get involved, to defy their intimidation, and to join our army of volunteers. And you can do that by going to transparentelections.com. Now, I've spoken to many of you this weekend, and you are rightly concerned about our country's future. Some of you are distressed at the current state of affairs. Joe Biden is the most lawless president in American history. You heard me right. I believe Joe Biden is the most lawless president in American history. And apparently, even some in the federal judiciary agree with us. His 100-day moratorium on deportations struck down by a federal court. His vaccine mandates on private companies that employ 100 or more people struck down by a federal court. His vaccine mandates on federal contractors blocked by a federal court. His executive order rescinding the Remain in Mexico policy blocked by a federal court. His CDC order imposing a federal public transportation mask mandate struck down, thank goodness. His administration's order lifting Title 42, ceding even more control over the southern border, blocked by a federal court. Clearly, Joe Biden's administration does not do a very good job of following the law. Sadly, it does not do a very good job of enforcing the law either. In addition to its obvious failure to enforce our immigration laws on the southern border, it's also failing to enforce a federal law against picketing outside of a Supreme Court justice's home. And on another front, the Washington Post reports that we're about to see even more lawlessness, this time in the form of the student loan payoff scam. Biden's about to use tax dollars from waitresses and small business owners and cops and teachers to pay off the debt of doctors and attorneys and university professors. The Constitution of the United States says the president has two duties: to faithfully execute the office of president and to take care that laws are faithfully executed. That is, follow the law and enforce the law. Joe Biden is doing neither. And what's more, it's all deliberate. It's a deliberate strategy to destroy America. And with liberals and leftists in control of both houses of Congress, there is no pressure for him to follow or enforce the law. Imagine a world where conservatives controlled Congress. With control of Congress, conservatives could check the power of the purse. A conservative-controlled House and Senate could appropriate funds to finish building the border wall, or simply refuse to fund anything we oppose. A conservative-controlled House could block bad Biden nominees or hold hearings on why the Biden administration won't enforce immigration law, or why they won't implement an all-of-the-above energy strategy, or why they won't treat parents as the primary stakeholders in their children's upbringing, rather than as domestic terrorists. In a month and a day, our American experiment in self-government will be 246 years old. Through world wars and a civil war, through boom times and recessions, through terrorist attacks and viruses and terrible responses to viruses, Americans have continued to pass liberty from one generation to the next. Our founders were brilliant and wise men. They bequeathed to us a republic and the tools to maintain it, if we have the courage and integrity to do the hard work to keep it. They recognize that our rights flow from our Creator to us, and that government is nothing more than a man-made construct to secure those rights. Their belief in our Creator was fundamental to our founders' concept of self-government, and it did not end with them. Ronald Reagan understood our Creator's relevance in more modern terms. During the course of his 1980 campaign for president, in his one debate with Jimmy Carter, Reagan said, "The American dream is not that every man must be level with every other man. The American dream is that every man should be free to pursue whatever God intends he should become." We're here tonight to saddle up and ride with the same courage and conviction our founding fathers had as they took on the biggest empire in the world and won. In the same spirit Reagan taught us, grateful that we still live in an America where we are free to become whatever God intends we should become. And take note, all of you who are distressed and concerned about this country we love and cherish, you are not alone. Liberty will not die on our watch. We will never give in. We will never stop fighting. Our children and grandchildren depend on us to dig deep, be brave, and trust in God, to protect them from those who seek to corrupt their hearts and minds, to secure our elections so they still matter, and to instill in Americans an understanding that we live in the greatest country that the world has ever known, and we will succeed. We will pass liberty to our next generation. Thank you so much for having me tonight. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.